guys, this is Miss Coker. We are going to be doing today lesson 12 of our math, and I'm going to start out with a square that I have drawn. And this is a whole square, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to partition it. Remember, partition, I'm going to put that word here. What does that word partition mean? Does anybody remember? Partition means to divide or to separate. Okay? So I'm going to divide this square into half. Just like that. Okay? Alright, so is this a good equal halves? It is. There's 1/2 and 1/2, and that makes 2 halves. And 2 halves, we know, make up a whole. So this is a whole square, and 2 halves are made up a whole. Another way you could do this, you could have partitioned the square going that way. You could have partitioned the square going this way or this way. There's several ways that you can partition certain shapes depending on what fractions you're working with. In a square here, you can partition it in 4 different ways in halves. Okay, so I'm also going to look at this in a different way. I'm going to look at it into thirds. So we could do thirds like this. We have 3 equal parts that make up a whole. And we could also do thirds going this way. All right. We also have fourths that we've been looking at. In fourths, you can kind of make a window. You can put an X in the middle of the square, and that would be 4 equal parts. You could have it going up and down. Remember how I showed you how to do fourths? You half the square, then half this half, and then half this half, and you got 4 equal parts. And then you can also do it going in rows. So you could half the square, half the half, and half the other half, and you have 4 equal parts as well. So there's different ways that you can partition a shape depending on if it needs to be halves. In halves, we found 4 different ways, okay, to partition a square. In thirds, we found 2 different ways. In fourths, we found 4 different ways that we could partition a square. All right, so your homework will look very similar to this. And this is partitioning the rectangles in 2 different ways to show equal shares. So it's asking you to partition them into halves. So you can do this many different ways. You can do, the simplest way is putting a line here. You could put a line going across. I'm also going to show you that you could do the line going diagonally. It's a little bit trickier. Or you could do the other way of diagonal. It's just a little bit trickier. That's why I suggest these 2 ways, because they're just a little bit easier. In thirds, okay. Remember, in thirds, you only draw 2 lines. Okay. In fourths, remember, you can half the rectangle, then half the half, and then half the half over here. And it's about the right way. You could also make a long window, just like this. Okay. Now it asks you to build the original whole square using the rectangle half and the half represented by your 4 small triangles. So I'm going to show you what this means. Your whole square, so you're going to build your whole square. So your square should look something like this. Okay? Using the rectangle half, So this would look like a rectangle, right? And then the other half is represented by triangles. How can you do that? Watch. Okay, there's a triangle. There's a triangle. And there's a triangle. That's what it means. So you have four, so it's 4 small triangles. There's your 4 small triangles. And this is your 1/2. Okay? And that equals a whole. Okay? The next thing it asks us to do here is use different colored halves of a whole square. So it says to cut the square in half to make 2 equal sized rectangles. So here's your square that we've been drawing, okay? And it says to make 2 equal sized rectangles. So I'm going to use a different color, okay? Or you could put it over here. Here's your rectangle. Pretend that we cut it up, okay? Then rearrange the halves to create a new rectangle with no gaps or overlaps. So you could do this. Okay, so you could rearrange the halves to create a new rectangle. So that would be one way to do a rectangle, correct? Or you could also do this. Okay, it says cut each equal part in half to make 4 equal size squares. Okay. Cut each part in half to make equal size squares. So what you could have done here is with the square is you could have made 4 equal size squares, and that was basically making the window. You could rearrange the new equal shares to create different polygons. Okay, so you could do this. Basically. Or draw one of your new polygons from part D. Okay, so we've done something similar. I hope that didn't confuse you very much. It did me a little bit, but that's what they were asking you to do. So this one is developed off of this one, and then this one was from C and D. Here it says cut out the circle. Okay, well I don't have the circle, so we're just going to draw a circle. So we're going to draw a circle. We're going to rearrange the halves to create a new shape with no gaps or overlaps. So basically that is you're making it a half just like that. Okay, it says cut out each equal share in half. Rearrange the equal shares to create a new shape with no gaps. This is a little bit harder to do because this is a circle. So I would suggest just leaving it something like this. It's fine. All right, so your homework will look like this. You're going to partition the rectangles in 2 different ways to show equal shares. Well, you're going to have halves. So you can do that this way and this way, just like we did on the other paper. Thirds, you can do that this way. You can do that this way. Fourths, remember, make a half, then half the half, and then half the other half. You could put an X in them. Those are your rectangles. And then the same thing with the squares. You make the halves, the thirds, and the fourths. Okay, this next one, it has a square down at the bottom of the paper, and I cut mine out. But I know your paper is probably smaller than mine because we put 2 papers into one sheet. So if you need to, you can draw these just like I just did on that other paper. So I'm going to do what it tells us to do. It says cut out the square at the bottom of the page. I've done that. It says cut the square in half to make 2 equal rectangles. So I'm going to make 2 equal rectangles, just like that. Okay, shade 1/2 using your pencil. Okay, well, I'm going to use my marker. Now, since you probably don't want to cut this out, this is what you would do. You would draw your square, okay, then cut it in half and shade it. Okay. Then it says rearrange the halves to create a new rectangle with no gaps and overlaps. Okay. Well, I can do another shape. And so it says rearrange the halves to make a new rectangle with no gaps and overlaps. So that's what we did. Okay, you could even make it look like this. So you could do this. I'm going to, since I'm going to pretend I didn't cut out the square, I'm going to draw it. Oops. Then it says to cut each equal part in half to make 4 equal size squares. So I'm going to do that. Since you probably will not be able to cut these out because they would be tiny, you can just draw them. So this was A, this is B, this is C. So yours would look something similar to this maybe. It says dearrange the new equal shares to create different polygons. Okay, so well, what can we do here? Okay, we could take these. I'm not going to cut them because these are small enough as it is. But say I could cut them diagonally like that. Okay. And that would be making a new polygon. Draw one of your polygons from part D. That's what, and shade, it says 1/2 is shaded. Okay, so that's exactly what you're going to do for your homework. I hope this helps. I know this was a little bit more confusing than normal. Was for me too. If you need to go back and watch this video again, you're more than welcome to do so. If you need to watch the Embark videos or the Embark Google Slides to get a little bit more better idea of what they're asking, please go ahead and do that. If you need to contact me to get further help, I'll be glad to help you. If you need anything, just let me know. Have a good afternoon, and I will talk to you soon.